the land of Kalinga, rich, untamed, and drenched in the echoes of war. From the ashes of fallen empires, a new force emerged. The Eastern Gangas, heirs to an ancient lineage, rose as the undisputed lords of this sacred land. Their origins were steeped in mystery, tracing back to the powerful Ikshvaku line, yet their destiny was carved in the heart of Odisha. As the mighty Bhaumakaras weakened, the Eastern Gangas seized their moment. They were not mere rulers, they were warriors, temple builders, and visionaries who would redefine the soul of Kalinga. With sword in hand and faith in their gods, they expanded their dominion, laying the foundation of a dynasty that would withstand the test of time. But power is never given, it is taken, and their claim to Kalinga was only the beginning. As the dust settled on their early conquests, a greater challenge awaited. For in the shadows of their ascent, an alliance with the great Cholas of the south was brewing, one that would shape the destiny of the Eastern Gangas forever. Kalinga had seen kings, but none like him, Anantavarman Chodaganga Deva. The name itself struck both awe and fear. A warrior, a statesman, a builder of empires, he was the monarch who would turn the Eastern Ganga dynasty into an unshakable force. Ascending the throne in the late 11th century, he was not content with mere rule. He sought dominion. With steel in his veins and divine destiny in his heart, he expanded his empire from the banks of the Ganges to the depths of Tamil lands. His conquests shattered enemies, his governance brought prosperity, and his vision laid the foundation for a golden age. But his power was not his alone. A pact had been forged, a union of blood and ambition. Anantavarman was no stranger to diplomacy. To the south, the Cholas, warriors of the Tamil lands, held an iron grip over peninsular India. Through marital alliances and strategic warfare, he entwined his fate with theirs. But alliances are double-edged swords. The Cholas were allies until they weren't. As battles raged and territories shifted, the Eastern Ganga dynasty stood at the crossroads of history. Would Kalinga bend to Chola supremacy, or would it carve its own destiny? The answer lay in war, and Anantavarman was ready. An empire is not built on words. It is forged in fire, in the clash of steel, in the thunder of war elephants crushing enemy lines. Anantavarman Chodaganga Deva was no mere king. He was a conqueror. His army swept across Kalinga, stamping the Eastern Ganga insignia on lands that had long resisted subjugation. His greatest challenge came from the south. The Cholas, once allies, now stood as formidable rivals. Their war-hardened warriors sought to reclaim lost ground, but Anantavarman met them with unyielding force. Battle after battle, he defended his sovereignty, proving that Kalinga was no vassal state. It was a kingdom destined to rule. Yet his ambitions did not end at defense. He turned his gaze westward, where rival dynasties sought to halt his march. But the Ganga banner would not be stopped. Ganga ruled in Andhra, expanding the frontiers. Andhra was a prize worth taking, rich in resources, a gateway to trade, and a land of ancient prestige. The Eastern Gangas pressed forward, annexing key regions and cementing their presence beyond Kalinga. Fortresses rose, temples flourished, and Ganga rule became a force across the eastern coast. But with expansion came new enemies, new threats lurking beyond the horizon. As Kalinga's power stretched further, so did the dangers that sought to tear it down. Empires rise with the sword, but they endure through faith. For the Eastern Ganga kings, conquest was not just of land, it was of the soul of Kalinga itself. At the heart of their devotion stood Jagannath, the eternal lord of the cosmos. It was under Anantavarman Chodaganga Deva that the grand temple of Jagannath in Puri took its monumental form, an architectural proclamation of divine sovereignty. The temple was more than a place of worship, it was the beating heart of the empire. Pilgrims from across Bharatvarsha flocked to its towering gates, while rituals and festivals reinforced the divine legitimacy of the Ganga kings. To rule Kalinga was to serve Jagannath, And in doing so, the dynasty transformed the land into a spiritual beacon. But faith was not confined to temples, it shaped society itself. Brahmin settlements, social and religious policies. To solidify their rule, the Eastern Gangas patronized Brahmin settlements, granting them lands and privileges. These scholars and priests became the pillars of administration, law, and education, embedding Sanatana Dharma deeper into the empire's core. Villages flourished under their guidance, and a harmonious blend of Shaivism and Vaishnavism defined Kalinga's spiritual landscape. Yet power and piety walk a fine line. As temples grew in influence, so did the challenges of governance. Would faith unify the empire, or would it spark conflicts of control? The answer lay not in prayers, but in stone. If faith was the soul of the Eastern Gangaja dynasty, then architecture was its voice, etched in stone, defying time. And no monument speaks louder than the Konark Sun Temple. Built under Narasimhadeva I, this colossal structure was more than just a temple. It was an ode to Surya, the sun god, a chariot frozen in time, its wheels marking the passage of ages. Legends whisper that it was designed to float, its pinnacle laced with a massive magnet that held the temple in perfect balance. But beyond the myths, its intricate carvings, celestial alignments, and sheer scale reflected the Eastern Ganga ambition, divine, unyielding, eternal. The temple stood as a declaration. Kalinga was not just a kingdom, it was the cultural heart of Bharatvarsha. Yet Konark was only one jewel in the dynasty's crown. From the towering Jagannath temple in Puri to the majestic Lingaraj and Mukteshwar temples, the Eastern Gangas transformed Odisha into a land of sacred grandeur. Every pillar told a story, every carving held a prayer. Their architecture was not just about devotion, it was power cast in stone, a legacy that would outlive their empire. But as monuments soared, shadows loomed. The golden age of the Eastern Gangas would soon face its greatest challenge, a storm brewing from the north. Beyond the temples and fortresses, the Eastern Ganga dynasty ruled another empire, one that sailed across oceans. The eastern coast of Kalinga wasn't just a shoreline, it was a launchpad of naval dominance. With a fleet crafted from the forests of Odisha and manned by fearless sailors, the Ganga Navy ruled the Bay of Bengal like sea kings in their own right. Their ships reached far-off lands, Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, even the islands of Suvarnadvipa. These were not just journeys of trade, but of power. The seas became extensions of the empire, their waves carrying the echo of the Ganga king's ambition. Harbors like Tamralipta and Manikpatna bustled with ships, spices, and gold, protected by warships that dared any invader to cross their waters. But naval might was only half the treasure. Kalinga's prosperity flowed from its coastlines. Black pepper, ivory, textiles, and fine metalwork were traded across continents. Merchants thrived under royal patronage, guilds gained power, and cities transformed into economic hubs. Inland agriculture bloomed, and trade routes connected forests to ports. With wealth came prestige and envy. For every prosperous port, a rival waited beyond the sea or at the border. And as riches poured in, so did the threat of plunder. Centuries before the Eastern Ganga rise, the land of Kalinga bore witness to one of the bloodiest wars in Indian history, Ashoka's conquest. That ancient scar never faded, and the Eastern Ganga kings, shaped by the echoes of that devastation, turned defense into doctrine. For them, war was not just a means of expansion, it was survival. They fortified cities, built watchtowers along the coast, and trained a military that was both fierce and disciplined. Their battle formations were inspired by tradition, but honed by constant threats from the south, the sea, and soon from the north. The legacy of Kalinga's resistance became their battle cry, and that cry would soon be tested by an empire unlike any they had faced. The Delhi Sultanate marched south with fire and fury. Armies led by generals like Tughril Tuhan Khan sought to break the spine of Odisha. But the eastern Gangas, especially Narasimhadeva I, met them not with fear but with fire. At Barabati and other frontiers, the Ganga warriors stood tall, repelling wave after wave of invasion. Temples became fortresses, kings became warriors. The people of Odisha rallied behind their dynasty, proving that Kalinga would not fall easily. Victory was hard earned, but its cost left tremors across the kingdom. He was not just a king, he was a storm in human form. Narasimhadeva I rose at a time when the very soul of Kalinga trembled under the shadow of the Delhi Sultanate. Where others might have bowed or sued for peace, he chose to strike. With sword in hand and fire in his eyes, he led from the front, turning war into art and resistance into legacy. It was under his command that the eastern Gangas not only defended Odisha, they defied Delhi. At Barabati, his forces shattered Sultanate dreams of southern conquest. His strategy was ruthless, his will unbending. He fortified Odisha like never before, rebuilding cities, strengthening temples, and forging an identity rooted in defiance. But Narasimha's brilliance wasn't just on the battlefield. He commissioned the Konark Sun Temple, an eternal monument to both faith and fury, a war memorial carved in stone, a testament to divine and royal might. His reign marked the pinnacle of Eastern Ganga military and political power. He was the last of the great warrior kings, one who burned bright against the darkness creeping from the north. As the tides of power shifted, the Eastern Ganga dynasty anchored itself in the heart of Odisha, Kataka, the city we now know as Cuttack. Nestled between rivers and protected by nature, it became the empire's nerve center. Here, kings ruled from Barabati fort, overseeing trade, warfare, and temple patronage. Kataka wasn't just a capital, it was a living testament to the Ganga spirit. Streets buzzed with merchants, scribes, and soldiers. Culture flourished, and the administration remained sharp. But beneath the surface, the foundations had begun to tremble. The great kings were gone. What remained was a proud but weary throne. Invasions from northern sultanates, pressure from southern kingdoms, and internal succession struggles slowly bled the dynasty. The grandeur of Konark gave way to caution, and the empire's once mighty roar became a whisper. Yet even in decline, the Eastern Gangas held the torch of tradition. And then, from their very lineage, arose a storm. With the fall of the Eastern Gangas came the rise of the Suryavamsi Gajapatis. Proud descendants, they took up the mantle, not as mere rulers, but as restorers of Kalinga's ancient fire. The Eastern Ganga dynasty may have faded from the throne, but their legacy, etched in stone, song and soul, refuses to die. At their zenith, the Gangas presided over a golden age that transformed Kalinga into a land of unimaginable splendor. Cities thrived under careful administration, art blossomed in temple walls, and scholars penned verses that still echo in Odia consciousness. Under their rule, society flourished. Caste systems, though present, were balanced with religious harmony. Brahmin settlements, encouraged by royal grants, became centers of learning. Festivals like Rath Yatra, elevated by Ganga, devotion to Jagannath, grew from local rituals into monumental celebrations that drew the entire subcontinent. Their architecture spoke volumes, not just in grandeur but in purpose. Every structure had a voice, every chisel mark was a story, and through it all, the Gangas remained guardians of Dharma, protectors of culture and stewards of prosperity. Even as time marched on, their impact shaped every successor, from the Suryavamsi Gajapatis to modern Odisha itself. They weren't just rulers, they were the soul of a civilization. They left behind temples that challenged time, traditions that define identity, and a name that still commands respect. The Eastern Gangas may have ended as a dynasty, but they live on as a legend.
History is a blend of fact, interpretation, and imagination. The stories are inspired by historical accounts, myths, and cultural legacies. While we aim to bring history alive, we encourage you to explore, research, and question these narratives.